Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined by my two pals, Dakota Lasky, Dominal Crossing. What a week for this Metroid business. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, man. It is a great time to be a Metroid fan. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about Metroid news, but Mom, Dad, I did it. I got a hit tweet. Are you proud of me?
Yeah, good job, buddy. I didn't see that till last night, to be honest. So for the backstory here, some jabroni was in Doom's mentions. What did he say? Something like Metroid doesn't sell, dumbass, or something like that, right?
It's a long story. So it started off. It started off with the first hit tweet. That's at like 2K now. That's the whatever though, and it was basically like, yo, why are we still having Hogwarts Legacy discourse in a post Metroid Prime Remastered release world? And then this guy was like, because nobody plays Metroid, dumbass. And so so I quote tweeted him just with ratio and with Metroid Prime as the current number one seller on Amazon North America right now. And I was like, you know what? He's got no likes. I'll be, maybe I'll get like 10, maybe 20 if I'm lucky. Yeah, I got home from work yesterday at like 4K likes, and today it's a 13.4 last time I checked. So yeah.
God's work. Very good. Okay, so I mean, wow, what a week. I have a very important question though. We're going to talk everything Metroid Prime Remastered for this week and for next week, by the way. We can't possibly fit into one episode. But I do have an important question for you, Mr. Lasky. So you got a Super Bowl party going on today, and you're wearing a New Jersey Devils jersey. What is going on with that?
Well, I mean, I'm not an Eagles fan or a Chiefs fan. So, like, I don't know. I'm not going to wear this to the party. I put this on for this. This is my show clothes. It's not my party
I was
clothes.
like, if you wear that to the Super Bowl party, that mad respect. Like, I love that.
I'm not wearing my signed Brodeur jersey where I could get, like, nachos on it or something. I mean, I guess that could happen somewhere else. But no, I'm not wearing this. If anything, I would wear a Jets jersey because that's who I am a fan of. But, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to have to try to cram in some more time on my second playthrough of Metroid Prime Remastered before I leave, which yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm almost like, damn, I wish the Super Bowl was like next weekend or something, so I had the whole rest of the day to play, but that's what it is.
So the Nintendo Direct was announced last week. Conveniently, I think it was announced right after we released our episode, or maybe like on the Monday before, and we'd already recorded our episode, so it came out. It was released, and I think it was one of the best Nintendo Directs that I can remember. I don't know about you guys, but there was a lot to like. But of course, the crown jewel of that Direct was the announcement of Metroid Prime Remastered, and holy smokes, I went nuts. So I was doing the Direct. I was covering it for Zelda Dungeon. I wasn't expecting to see anything Metroid, and I knew there was going to be a lot of Zelda, so I was getting ready, I was getting prepared, getting hyped, and Nintendo just drops this Metroid Prime Remastered towards the latter end of the Direct, and just completely out of nowhere, took me completely by surprise. It totally overshadowed Tears of the Kingdom. Yet again, this is the second time that a Metroid title has done that, because Metroid Dread totally overshadowed it.
As is tradition.
Yeah.
It's that Metroid sweep.
I mean, they need to do it like one more time. Next Tears of the Kingdom trailer is gonna have like the Echoes remaster in front of it or something. I don't know, but so I was going absolutely nuts. Let's just walk me through your reaction, what you were feeling. Obviously, I know we were all going crazy. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, but yeah,
So do we want to get right into that first, or do you want to cover the Game Boy Advance to NSO?
Let's leave that for just a little bit.
Because I almost feel like that kind of carries into it. At least for me, it does.
Yes, because which came first? I can't remember. I think that announcement
the Game Boy Advance
first.
The
right?
Game Boy and Game Boy Advance stuff. Yeah, I mean, no, I definitely agree because we got that first, and I was like, oh, okay, dope. Like, yeah, like this is great.
Yeah.
Fusion's coming to this, or like, Metroid 2's coming to the Switch. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, all right, cool. I probably won't play it. And then like Metroid Fusion's coming to the Switch. I'm like, oh sweet, like I'll definitely play that for like the 100th, 1000th time. Like awesome. And then I had the Direct on my other monitor, and I was doing something else. I remember what I was either playing a game or like whatever, and I was like, okay, like that's the only stuff, because I know you just said that was like you think one of the best Directs of all time. I do not agree. I mean, I literally like it was what Pikmin 4. I'm like, all right, that's Pikmin, and there was a bunch of games I was not gonna play, and then I was like, okay, and Zelda's gonna be at the end. Like, I don't know why I'm watching this. And then the Metroid game news came out. I was like, okay, there was some Metroid news. I'm glad I tuned in. And then I went back to what I was doing, and then I hear it and I see it in my periph Metroid Prime Remastered, and I was like, oh, I don't even remember what I was doing now because like all my focus immediately shifted to that, and I couldn't think of anything else. And it's just that they did it so unceremoniously, just like, oh, by the way, Metroid
Right?
Prime
It was like,
Remastered. I was like, oh yeah, let's go. So I'm really glad I tuned in.
I
It
could
was
just
awesome.
picture you with that signed Brodeur jersey, like, let's go, like, around your head.
Dude, I definitely gave this bed right here a good old, let's go slap on my bed. Yeah, that was hype. It was a nice little lead-in because I was already like, okay, I got like a little bit of Metroid, cool, and then like expectation just immediately blown away.
Yeah. I do. Maybe you're right. We can. Let's get the Game Boy stuff out of the way, which is an awesome announcement, by the way. I was really excited for that, and like a lot of the titles that are coming, I'm excited about. So I was like, great. I can't like it's very convenient to be able to play Fusion on on the fly on the Switch, which is nice. I won't have to use my old DS anymore if I want to play the cartridge. So I was like, that's kind of cool. I can I could get down with that. Metroid 2 was announced, which was pretty cool. And I actually just finished playing Metroid 2 like 2 weeks ago. I did like a ROM hack review where I played like a colorized version of it. Which, by the way, there's this really cool filter that you can select for like the Game Boy Advance stuff. It's pretty nifty. But yeah, I mean, so that in and of itself would have been like extremely hype, just because more Metroid games on the Switch is always a good thing. But man, they went right for the jugular after that, did they not?
Oh, absolutely. It wouldn't be me if I didn't mention this, Andy, but I remember in a previous discussion we had, you said that at most, that Game Boy would be the only one that could possibly be added to NSO base tier. You said there was no way possible that Game Boy Color could be added.
It's got receipts.
Did I? I don't think I said that.
Absolutely not.
I don't think I said that.
You
but
said that.
But I actually made a list of things that I said that turned out to be completely wrong, which I wanted to bring up on this episode. So obviously I don't know much, but no, I don't think I said that. I think I was always on the camp of Game Boy Advance. Was I not?
Some revisionist history up in here. I don't know about that one, Chief. But anyways,
delete the file so nobody can check. But yeah,
stop the count. No, but anyways, yeah, this completely caught me off guard because I think most people like me were expecting an NSO announcement in like September when they usually are.
Yeah.
And so when Shinya Takahashi, the guy that does all that, he's like, oh yeah, here's some NSO announcements. I was like, wait, we're doing this now, and then sure enough, Game Boy pops up, and I'm like, sick.
Yeah.
GBA 2, and then sure enough, they did that too, and that all went down. Slightly disappointed that Fusion isn't going to be a launch title, but I think the following announcement kind of makes up for it, And they didn't announce Zero Mission, but like that's okay. I know that's coming down the line eventually.
You know what would have been serendipitous actually is if Fusion was a launch title and like Metroid Prime also launched that day.
That's true.
One more time. That would have been kind of cool.
That's true. Yeah.
Little homage, but no, I think. Yeah, I'm I'm fine with waiting for a little bit for Metroid Fusion. But yeah,
and the starting lineups for both these consoles are also like really solid. I mean, on the Game Boy, you got. I'm surprised they're going right into Mario Land 2 and not Mario Land 1, which is a nice surprise. That's generally the one that people prefer on the Game Boy, so that was a pretty nice surprise. I do hope they add that original Mario Land though, because it does have a very soft, nostalgic place in my heart with that music.
I have a sad story, actually. So when they were doing the games on Game Boy, they announced Wario Land 3, and in my head, I was thinking that it was Super Mario Bros. Land 3 Wario Land, so like the first Wario Land. That was one of the first video games I ever played, so I was like, oh yeah! Was not that game, but I bet you it'd come soon. But yeah, so I mean, that was a hype announcement, but then of course, I mean, man, oh man, oh man, that trailer for Metroid Prime Remastered, it just coming out of absolutely nowhere. My God, that trailer and that visual and the music was just like on another level. And then I could not believe the next sequence of events. So it was like available as a digital purchase, available today, and it is not full price. So I want to recap a bunch of things that I have repeatedly said that turned out to be completely wrong. So I said I said this for sure, that there is no way that Nintendo would ever release a first-party remake or remaster for less than full price. Wrong. I also said, that it would not be, the only way they could do it was if they made it a digital release, and they would never make it a digital release. Wrong.
Why would you even die on that hill? Why even say that?
I didn't think
you to
so.
Make that?
Like,
okay,
in my mind, it's like, okay, well, Skyward Sword has its digital release, Xenoblade, like all these titles have this digital release, or have this physical release. I'm sorry, I'm so excited, I'm tripping over myself. And I was like, well, Metroid is going to get the same thing, and it will, but no, I had like a bunch of L's across the board.
So wait, what was your prediction for that? I don't know if I heard that right.
Well, basically, I was like, there is no way that Nintendo would make this game cheaper than a standard Switch game.
I got that.
And then B, there's no way that they would release it as a digital title like beforehand, right? Like before a physical. Like, I guess what I'm saying is, in no world did I ever expect that they would say like it's available like right now. So yeah, that was a couple L's across the board, and one more L. Although it's like a half L, because I don't know that I would necessarily walk this back. But I remember saying that I would have rather the whole trilogy than like an up-res remake of Metroid Prime. I still think that's true, but after seeing this,
I remember you saying that because I distinctly remember saying the opposite, saying I would rather take the remastered Prime than their original trilogy ported with no updates. And boy, oh boy, was I right! It feels good to have the W. That's why I'm wearing the Brodeur jersey, one of the most all-time winning goalie of all time. You know, like that's a goat right there. And so is this game. Another reason I'm wearing this. Yes, I'm glad you were wrong, because I think this was, as much as I want to see the trilogy, this game, to not get this, I think would have been a massive loss. Like this is exactly what we needed. So
now I'm
glad you were wrong.
I'm kind of glad I was wrong too. I would still like. I think if I absolutely gun to my head had to choose, I'd still choose a trilogy. But man, oh man, after seeing this game in motion, sweet lord. But I think that the lower price point bodes well for the future titles coming. I can maybe see 2 and 3 being on like a single cartridge. I don't know, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. But so I had a lot of L's, but I was happy to take them. Very happy to take them. This game, oh my god, did it ever just look absolutely gorgeous. I was going nuts when that trailer was going on. Whew. Is this the best looking game on Switch? I think it's got to be.
I think it's up there. Like, I don't know, like, I think it's up there with Luigi's Mansion 3.
I think Luigi's Mansion 3. What else?
I don't know who else really.
I think it's the best looking Nintendo game of all time.
Well, I guess by default, if you're the best looking game on Switch, you're the best looking Nintendo game of all time.
That's what I'm getting at. It's not like if it looks the best on the Switch, what other game could possibly of Nintendo's look better? I think it's the best looking Nintendo game they've ever released.
Yeah, I don't really disagree with that. It looks absolutely phenomenal, and man, oh man, oh man, it just, God, I was like that.
You forget you're playing a Switch game sometimes. I'm like, wow, this is on the Switch? This is possible on the Switch?
Like, actually, like, yeah. I don't know about you guys, but so I want to. We'll talk about the game a little bit here. We'll go really in depth next week. But I've been really taking my time with it. So I was one of those guys. I was like, I'm gonna wait for the physical release. I only buy physical. I'm gonna wait. And like 5 minutes later, I was like, nope, I'm gonna buy this right now. So I bought it, and I was really taking my time. Like I'm like 5 hours in, and I just got to phase on mines. I've been scanning. I've been doing like, I don't know. I've just been trying to not progress or whatever, just to kind of take it all in. I haven't seen, when you're playing Metroid Prime originally, like you shoot a door, and like there's a million enemies behind you, and that door sometimes can take a second or two to open. I haven't seen a single instance of that. Like you hit a door and it's like whoosh, open immediately. I mean, like it looks great, it runs great, it sounds great. Man, what and it's selling great too, as Doom, you pointed out. It's number 1 on the digital charts right now. So like, what? Maybe we thought we might not get that golden age after Dread. Maybe we will.
Yeah, right. Like it only took what, like 14, 15 months after Dread released or so. 16 months, I think, right? That's not bad. That's still within the window. Like we'll
It
still
really
chugging
isn't.
along.
Yeah. I
Yeah, no,
mean,
I
Echoes
mean,
was what, 2 years after Prime?
Yeah.
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 I mean, that was a new game, but still, this almost feels like a new game. Like how it looks and how it plays, it absolutely feels like, oh wow, this is like truthfully, this was my first playthrough of the game. So I played it. Unfortunately, like I had class after work on Wednesday, so the game gets announced. I'm like, oh my god, this will be the longest 3.5 hour class of my life. And I don't think I actually started till Thursday. I played like all afternoon Thursday, all afternoon Friday, and then I fought Metroid Prime Saturday morning, and then I just started another playthrough last night to go for 100% on normal. But when I was playing it through the first time, and after I wrapped it up, I was like, wow, that was my favorite playthrough of Metroid Prime, I think, since I played it for the first time. Like it truthfully was like it's such new life into like one of my favorite games, my second favorite game of all time, really. Like to play it like that in a new way that I've been waiting to play it for so long. Like I've said this on the show so many times. All the game needed was updated visuals and new controls, and that's all they did, really. And that's exactly what it needed. So to play that, it was like playing it for the first time again. It was fun. It was freaking awesome. It was great.
Oh, yeah, it's so awesome. Like I said, I'm actually like trying to get lost. Like I went down into Magmor before I got the Various suit, and like I had never died in my life, I don't think, to extreme heat. But this time I was like, I want to see how far I can make it. It just, I don't know, it just went off, and I've just been like exploring and like, because like you play it for the first time and you take it all in, and then in subsequent playthroughs, like even a couple months ago when we did mapping Metroid for the Orpheon and for Talon Overworld, I was playing it and loving it, of course, but I was kind of like trying to get to the point kind of quickly because we have a deadline or whatever, and we're doing the show, but like, man, it's so nice, like you just reading all the scans again, and reading like the ones that don't mean anything. It's just like some random container or random bits of information. I can't say I've done that in a long time playing this game. It's God, it's awesome. It's just, it's like eating a steak. You want to take your time and enjoy it.
Well, speaking of scanning, there's actually a little hint of new content in the game. You can scan the asteroids now on the frigate Orpheon, which for most people that's probably such a whatever detail. That I actually popped off when I saw that tweet in action. I was like, wait, what? And it's so cool, and it actually like legit adds new lore to the game, because the asteroids, before they were just like kind of random asteroids floating in, but now those asteroids, they're highly radiated, and so I and many others have theorized that that's actually like little bits of like the Leviathan seed and bits of Talon 4 still in orbit around the planet after the meteor impact, that's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
To be fair, I thought it was pretty obvious that the asteroids were from the impact of Talon 4 into the Leviathan, right? Like that's kind of the whole point. Yeah, I thought so. But yeah, no, that is actually really sick. I think is that like the only instance that we know of that there's been added lore to the game, or is it just that? Do we know?
I believe so. So I believe that scan log was actually cut content from Prime, from what I understand, and this was something they re-added. But
Nice.
But yeah, in terms of like additional scans, I'm unsure. I haven't really heard anything yet.
I did make a note to go back to scan them for the first time on my second playthrough, because the first time I just like shot them, which is like my favorite thing to do starting off. But yeah, no, I thought that was cool too. Like they added like that little bit of like, oh, they're radiated. Like they're not just asteroids, which maybe not isn't necessary, but it's like a little like flavor that this game is so well known for, to have that kind of stuff. So I thought that was cool too.
Yeah, there's just so many little things, and then even the things that like are there before. Like for example, I got to the oh god, what's I'm totally blanking on what the word is. Like the room with all the planets, a hologram of all the planets.
Observatory.
Thank you. Yeah. I got to the observatory. God, golly, that looks incredible. Golly, yeah. Like that just looks amazing. Just like touching down on Talon, or the first time you go into Phendrana, it was honestly like I was 14 and playing this for the first time again. Just like, holy smoke!
Someone put this. I think I saw it on Reddit or Twitter. Someone was like, "This game is what you remember it looking like when you think about it playing it as a kid."
Yeah,
that's
100%.
like literally
not for me. Nah, they're like. So the second I saw the reveal trailer, like the first shot when they showed Chozo ruins, I'm like, oh wait, no. This isn't just a texture swap. They rebuilt the visual assets. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah,
That's
but
just me, though.
well, that's what I'm saying is that like it looks so good. That's like what my memory like imagines
Yeah.
it like having looked like as a kid when I played it for the first time. Like, you know, when you see something back in the day, your kid brain like fills
Yeah.
in the details. Like this is what it looked like to my kid brain back then, or like me remembering it now through the
100%.
eyes of, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like
when
that's
I think of like Hyrule Field and Ocarina of Time, I picture this like ultra 5K lush field, or you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
that's my
Yeah,
memory of it.
yeah, when I think back to Town Overworld, I'm like, oh, it looked like this. When I played the
Yeah.
original GameCube, it didn't look like that. Now it looks like that. Like it is. It's actually incredible how good of a job they did at updating not just like the environments, but like the lighting and
Yeah.
the enemy textures and models, like and the added effects they added to like the beams and the cannon and like so much little stuff that like. I mean, the rain is like, oh, they didn't just like keep the rain and make it look nicer. Like you point your cannon up in the air and like the rain drips down the cannon and it drips off of it and it goes down your visor. Like it's every little detail is there and it's like exactly what it needed to be. They pinpointly perfectly nailed it.
God.
I actually really want to get into that Talon landing sequence, if we all don't mind, you know, because
Sure.
I feel like that's because like we've talked about this before during mapping Metroid, but the Talon landing sequence was the moment that I became a Metroid fan. So that scene in the remaster, like I was very much looking forward to it. Like that is a very important scene to nail, right? And to say that they knocked it out of the park, I feel like would be quite the understatement of the year.
Yeah.
I remember watching the trailer, and you know they show the shot of the ship landing, and literally the first thing I noticed was that overhead shot of the foliage, because you know
I'm watching it right now.
because in the standard game, you know, you look at the foliage and you know it's all pixelated. You can actually see like the polygonal angles. You know, it has lots of 90 degrees and stuff like that. The some of the mushrooms and the leaves, you can see the pixelization on that. Not only does this new foliage look absolutely gorgeous, but it's not static anymore. It has movement. It's interacting with the wind, and it's like interacting with the rain in real time, and you can see the droplets dropping on the individual leaves instead of just passing through them. There's such an insane level of detail here.
Yeah.
Without a single frame drop, keep in mind. And
it's astounding. Like honestly, it's astounding.
It's a clean 60 frames, not just on deck but handheld.
I've only played handheld.
I have only played handheld. I played in bed, so
really?
we can get. Yeah, I've only played handheld because I wanted to just like cozy up in bed. To be fair, I put it on my knees and I started using the Pro Controller anyway. But even handheld, 60 frames, not a single stutter, frame drop, nothing. Like that's what I see this stuff. I'm like, this is possible on the Switch. What is everyone else doing? I mean, granted, like they just like touched up a game that already existed, but like still, like. Man, that is what I want from Nintendo games more often. It reminded me a lot of, you remember like the Wii U tech demo, that Zelda game that we never got. That when I was like, this felt like getting like if I were to get that Zelda game, like that's what I would love a Zelda game that looks like that. It doesn't be like hyper realistic, but it has that like just that really solid,
it's polished. Like
yeah, it looks so good, and even it makes things clearer and more legible too. You know, like. Going back 20 years, like you can some things in this game, like at least from a distance, can sometimes be kind of hard to read. In this game, everything is so clear. Like there's so much contrast too. Like they made things not only look good but also like easy for like someone who might not have played before to be able to like take notes from the environment. Like obviously we know Metroid Prime, one of the best things it does is it has such good environmental storytelling, not just from like, oh, the lore you can create, but like how it directs you in certain places so you find things, like putting like a bit of Chozo lore above like a morph ball tunnel. So like, oh, I go and scan that, look at that. There's a way for it to progress. All of those elements of Metroid Prime are still here, obviously, but now they're even more pronounced because the game looks better. So you can see those signs in the environment that much more easily. And I mean, that part of it alone makes this game so accessible for someone who's never played it before, but someone who has, it just looks immaculate.
But perfect example is I was schmucking around Talon Overworld yesterday, and I was in it's with the big tree room, the one with the invisible platform, and I don't think that I've ever noticed before, like when the rain hits that invisible platform, you kind of know it if you know it, but if you don't, then you probably don't. And so yesterday I was in that room and I could see the rain, and I've never been able to see before, just hitting this platform. So I was like, oh, great, I know that something is there, so you can go and explore. So it just like the way that it kind of tease up these hidden secrets, I feel like is just a lot more expressive. Like the world is a lot more expressive, just because it looks so much brighter, cleaner, crisper. So yeah, I completely agree with that. The way this world works is it's just like flabbergasting that this is running handheld on Nintendo Switch. Actually, to add to your comment too about the Talon overworld, one thing that I noticed when you're landing is in the original Metroid Prime, there's like some waterfalls that you see in the distance, and they look good, but they're kind of, you can, if you look at them, they're just kind of like a line that simulates
thin.
water.
Yeah, they're like paper thin.
This one, like, there's water. You can see like water actually falling,
and it's spraying out and like going in different directions at times. That's great.
Like,
it's such a small thing, but like, it looks so awesome. And like, you know, you were talking about the beams earlier, and like, so I like I said, I've been taking my time. So I just actually got the ice beam yesterday.
Yo, the new ice beam effect
popped off at that ice beam effect, because it's like,
that looks sick.
You know, it's like when you take something out of the freezer and you've got the, you know, all the frost on you. It looks so awesome. Like, it looks so fantastic that I had to pause and like smile, and I was kind of giggling to myself, and I probably looked like a creep, but I was just like so happy, you know, like.
And especially after Trilogy, when, you know, they had to remove those effects to get it running on the Wii, like, you know, it's so happy to see like all that stuff back.
Yeah, and there are a couple things in this game that like I was thinking, oh, was this in the original or not? But like it didn't even matter, because like, oh wow, this just looks like it's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing for the first time, I think this happens with both the thermal visor and the X-ray visor. When you have the ice beam out, you can see like the cold air like pouring out of the arm cannon as you're holding it in those visors. Looks so sick. Or like when you shock something with the wave beam and like their corpse on the ground, you can still like see the electricity bouncing around, and you can hear it bouncing around their corpse. Amazing. And then there's one hallway too in the crashed frigate. After you go up the long lift where you're jumping up the platforms, and there's aqua reapers, you have to shoot them and jump back and forth. You get to the top, there's a hallway, and it has like this bioluminescent like
this blue stuff on the wall, right?
Moss on the wall, and it's like, yeah, you can see like bits of it like hanging in the air. And like, oh, like this is so good. Like I don't know how many screenshots on my Switch. I have to have hundreds of screenshots of just Metroid Prime shots, like just from playing in the past couple days. Like my Switch is filled with them. The game is beautiful.
Yeah, I got to that exact same hall yesterday, and I was just like,
so
damn,
good.
like this looks like, even the water just in general in that area, like, oh my god, it looks so good. And just like the water effect, everything looks so clear. Like that was one thing in the original Prime that was a little bit tough, is like when you're in water, it was a little bit murky. This is like just crystal clear, but it still feels like you're underwater.
Well, I think the murkiness was an intentional design choice, because when you have the Various suit, the water is murky, but once you get the gravity suit, the water starts to clear up more.
I didn't go to the crash frigate before getting the gravity suit this time, by the way. Go me.
I did it on my first playthrough. I did, and just because I can't resist, you're like right there after you get that ice beam, and you're like, it's right there. Like I can go and take this door, but I didn't do it the second time, which I felt like such an epic gamer. Like, haha, I didn't fall for it. Just like I didn't fall for missing the ice shriek bat this time, because my first playthrough I got like 98% of the scans and like 80% of the
items. Where's the ice shriek bat?
They are in a couple rooms, like the Ice Ruins West, like where those Shegoths are. And you're jumping around the rooftops of those houses. There's like that spawn, and there's a couple other ones, but I'm pretty sure they go away once you get the thermal visor. So you have to scan them before that, otherwise you'll miss them. I missed that one, and I missed, I think, the Elite Pirate or one of the Phazon Elites, which like you fight one of and then it goes away. And I didn't scan that either.
I think I'm in trouble.
Yeah, so I'm going for 100% this time, but yeah, I actually want to talk about that later. But but yeah, those areas so sick. Love it. There's so much to love in this game, actually, and we've already gone through some of the things I love. But
I believe they go away after you get Spider Ball, not Thermal. Because what happens is after you collect Spider Ball, Thordis is replaced with a Shegoth, and all those baby Shegoth spawns in those two areas are replaced with regular Shegoths at that point. Yeah, and it's that which causes the Shriek Bats to go away, I believe.
Yeah, it's some item you get. Just keep your eye out for them.
Okay, it's too late for me. I've already lost it.
Oh, well. You'll have to play again. Oh no.
I know. Darn.
No. Damn.
Yeah, so I mean, do we want to talk about some of the accessibility features next, control features? Let's head over there, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think we've said our piece on this game. Looks
Yeah.
amazing, looks incredible. I think it's the best looking Nintendo game of all time. And if this is what Metroid Prime Remaster looks like, man, Metroid Prime 4,
Yeah.
I can't wait. And I think I can't again stress how the 60 frames, even on handheld, buttery smooth, no drops, like that is just music to my eyes, man. Like it was perfect.
And without it, and again, like Andy said earlier, without any stuttering in the load time.
No.
Obviously, I'm nowhere near as far as you guys are. I'm still at the first save point in Magmore. I just have not had the time to play. I am going to be playing it today though, because I do have a free day today. So.
Hey.
But yeah, I haven't had a single stutter in those door loading times. But I'll let you continue in a sec, Dak. Which, if we get Prime 3, oh my gosh, if they can bring these loading times to Prime 3 again. That's going from a B to an A just from those loading times alone for me if they do that.
I definitely agree. And I was gonna say I have not experienced any loading issues with the regular doors, but there are a couple doors in the game that like the massive ones that have like the 4-piece like
The
breakaway
ones of the
to
Crash
it.
Frigate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of those are a little slower to open, but I think you can chalk that up to like, oh well, they're bigger doors and the ship is crashed and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I think they do open a little slower, but I think that was also the case in the original game too. So again, nothing crazy. I have not still not experienced a situation where like I'm getting chased by enemies or like I'm in a pinch situation and the door just won't open. At least those doors are in like, areas where there's no enemies, so it's fine.
I feel like that's an instance of like, a technicality that you can also mask within the game environment, which those are my favorite kinds of like gaming details.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's in the Crash Frigate, like it's a massive door. Yeah, it'll open a little slower than a small little door in a not Crash ship. Like I mean, the fact that there's a working save station in the Crash Frigate, which I think I brought up last time when we went over this area, is miraculous. So I'll take a slow opening door, no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's jump into like the controls and accessibility and stuff.
So yeah, I will say I did notice that one door too, but that's it. Like that's it.
Yeah,
so,
that's really
very
it.
Impressive. Yeah. So I took a couple big L's on on them releasing the up-res version of Metroid Prime and then the digital and the price and stuff like that. But I think that we can all collectively take a W for the amount of control options, because we said it was going to be dual analog and the original tank controls and motion controls that basically work like the Wii, and all of those are there.
And we got the hybrid too. We got
hybrid,
four control schemes. We got like the Splatoon style gyro and dual analog plus the 3 you just mentioned. Perfect.
Love it.
This is
love it.
Literally what this game needed was just new controls and new graphics, and that's what it got. Perfect.
If you guys won't take the L, I will happily take the L this time, because while I wanted all that stuff, I thought there's absolutely no way that Nintendo is going to have all of those control schemes. I thought dual analog for sure, that's going to be the default, and then the Wii controls as an option, and I figured that's it. You get one of two options. No, they also have the classic controls on the GameCube, which unfortunately, right now, they're not too perfect. However, Sunshine from the 3D All-Stars collection also had a similar issue that they patched in later, and now it works perfect with the GameCube controller. I'm fairly optimistic that they'll do the same. Here, get all those kinks worked out. But you also have gyro aiming, and you have all sorts of different options that you can put on the different controls. You can do gyro aiming on the classic GameCube style controls. That's how customizable all of this is. It's ridiculous. On a Nintendo game of all things.
Well, let's point out it's not just a Nintendo game; it's a retro game.
And an Iron Galaxy as well.
Well, it's retro, Iron Galaxy, a bunch of other people having that like super team led by retro. Like it's not just a Nintendo game, bro. Like they know what they're doing. Like we can rely on them to add this stuff. Like retro and these like they do not miss. They do not miss.
I mean, they haven't thus far, but so I was playing on the original GameCube controls yesterday just to like test drive them for a little bit. It was a little bit. Get
that out of here! Get that noise out of here!
I don't think I'm going to be playing on them, but I wanted to see how they did on the Joy-Cons, and even that wasn't like too horrible. But I mean, I wouldn't play on that for this, but it was still nice for those who want to. I will say. I don't know if you gentlemen agree or not. It did take me like a little bit of time to like get used to the dual analog for whatever reason, and I think it's because I've been so used to playing like the Prime Trilogy version. It took me just a second for it to like click in my brain. But actually, particularly when I was fighting some Chozo ghosts and I had my dual analog going on, and it was jarring because like you're holding down your charge beam with one finger, so you can't move the joystick right under it to turn. So that one I was like, oh god, like I kind of missed but like, I think that's just me. But
that's because you're using the face button to shoot there, where you could use the trigger.
Well, even if I guess you're right.
If you use the trigger and your thumb, yeah, that's, by the way, I thought that was great. Is that they not only just added not just excuse me, not just dual analog, but like trigger firing, bumper jumper, like all that kind of stuff. So that way you don't have to just jump with A and shoot with B, whatever it is. I mean, a lot of the time for me, I'm jumping with the left shoulder button. I'm firing with the right trigger, whatever it is, and then I'm moving around with the right stick. Like, this is perfect. And then if you want to use like the beam combo, you can shoot with A and then trigger the shoulder to activate that. Like, yeah, they not only added the dual analog, but they also gave you multiple ways to play it. Like, you could claw grip if you want. Like, it accommodates to many different ways of holding the controller. Flawless.
I will say the one thing though is like when and again, just me in that particular scenario, I find it a little bit not awkward, but it took a little bit of getting used to like have the trigger for your beam and then press R button to do a super missile. I found it was a little bit easier to do A and then the top R for a super missile, but then you kind of run into that thing where you're kind of like you're facing whatever way you're facing. That's honestly the only hiccup that I found in the controls like thus far. Like, that's it, and it's a very, very minor hiccup.
Well, I was just gonna say, for me, this is pretty much the solution that I proposed when we did our Metroid Prime Trilogy control scheme video like a while ago, where I was like, you know what? There's a way where you can have the beams and on both the face buttons and the triggers at the same time, and it would specifically make it easier to do beam combos and stuff. Or if you just want that kind of retro feel of the face button. And yeah, it wasn't implemented exactly the same way I did it, but it was similar, including the beam swap, which, you know, I haven't unlocked
another W for all of us. There we go.
Which I was like, you know, you could probably just hold one of the face buttons and then turn the scan visor button into a beam swap, and that's exactly what they did.
Exactly what you do. Yep.
Yeah, I think my only issue with that, and now playing it more, is that you can't look and change your beam at the same time, because you need to take your right thumb off the control stick to activate Y or X, whatever.
I think there's a simple solution, and they should add another option. I don't know if this will actually happen. They should add another option to make it a toggle instead of a hold, so that way you could just toggle the beam or visor on and off, and then you can still have
that'd be good.
That would be great, because currently I just claw grip it like real quick. If like there is a situation where I need to look around and change weapons, like if I'm on the run or dodging something, I'll just claw grip real quick. But yes, that would be great to change it potentially to a toggle.
Are we 100% sure that's not there? Because I'm not 100% sure that's not in the game.
Well, I went through all the control options and I don't remember seeing.
I don't either, but
so I could be wrong, but
I can just turn on my Switch right now.
Okay, Dak is doing some research
for you. I'm gonna do a live experiment.
Okay, while you're doing that, I want to bring up another point too. So obviously everybody here knows that I work in Zelda Dungeon, and I've been trying to get my, the guy who owns Zelda Dungeon to. No, it doesn't. Okay, that's too bad. But that is a good idea, and something that they very easily could do. So I've been trying to get the guy that owns Zelda Dungeon to play Metroid games for forever, and I've got him on Super, I've got him on Fusion, and so he's like, I'm gonna pick up Metroid Prime, but like, I don't like the HUD, and like it takes up 1/3 of the screen, which is ridiculous.
How do you not like the HUD? That's one of the best parts.
Don't get me started. Anyways, so
you could even make the HUD. You can turn the HUD off if you don't want it.
That's what I'm getting at. I was just like, this game is so accessible. I was like, here, jabroni, like you could completely turn this off if you do not want to see it. I don't remember that being in the original. Maybe it is. But
I think it was actually.
If it was wrong, but okay. Well, just another example of how fantastic the original game is. But I happened to see that like minutes after he was like about the HUD, and I was like, there you go. There's another accessibility option that makes it so simple, so easy, so user friendly for you. There you go. Buy Metroid Prime
Isn't there even
Remastered.
like a colorblind mode in this game or something? Like, I don't.
That caught me
Yeah,
so off guard.
like that's accessibility right there.
Colorblind options in a Nintendo game. Like, are we sure that we're not all in some collective coma right now? Like, how is that a real sentence that we're saying right now?
And I think even adding dual analog makes the game a lot more accessible too, because now these days the tank controls don't make any sense to anyone that has ever played a video game in the past 20 years, really. And I think this game itself becomes more accessible when you can look up and down while moving easily. It makes platforming so much easier. It allows you to kind of like traverse environments so much easier. So like for people who have been playing the game for a while, like at this point, I'm actually really looking forward to play on hard mode, because on normal you can just like run past so many enemies, which actually I find kind of fun because it's like an obstacle course as you just dodge stuff. And when you get so many energy tanks, you like tank everything and you don't have to worry about taking damage. But like now that I can like smoothly move around the environment with dual analog, look up and down, it feels like a completely different game.
I completely agree.
Like it feels like it opens up the game so much more, because you don't feel so limited and like digitally looking around. Like you can like take in the environment in much more natural capacity. You can move between targets so much easier. You can look at what you're doing when you're jumping from platform to platform. You can look at where you're about to land instead of just like looking straight for no reason.
Yes, you know where I really noticed that was a crashed frigate. And you know when you're going in the main sector and like you got to jump from platform to platform. God, like it was so nice to be able to look down and be like, okay, I'm not in fact overshooting this platform. I'm gonna land and then I can jump again.
It really shows like how much the original controls held back the game, I think, really. Like, I think that was the biggest issue that the original game had. And even then, it was still playable for sure. It didn't hold it back too much. But had it had dual analog controls, like, from the get-go, I think it would have made such a difference. And I'm glad now that we have them. Even, like, the gyro stuff, which I haven't done. I only played dual analog so far. It really functions really well. I would say the only issue I have with the dual analog, and I wish there were some ways to adjust this in the settings, there's no like sensitivity like slider, and when you look up and down,
I'm pretty sure there is a sensitivity slider.
Is there? When I looked in the options I didn't see one, but maybe I missed it. But what I don't like, at least on default, and maybe you can change it, but on default, without changing anything, just picking dual analog, looking up and down is not the same sensitivity as looking left to right. You look left and right faster than you look up and down, which is not a big deal, but I noticed it a ton. I'm like, please, like, I just want to look up real quick. Looking left to right, no big deal. And I even noticed there's almost a difference in sensitivity from the Pro Controller to the Joy-Cons, because I felt looking with the Joy-Con controller, or the camera with the Joy-Con, felt a little looser. Felt like I had higher sensitivity, whereas with the Pro Controller, it felt a little tighter. It wasn't as sensitive. Right. So I don't know. I'll have to look in the options. Maybe that's something you can change around. But that was one thing I noticed about dual analog, is not having that one-to-one sensitivity on the Y and X axis. But otherwise, I mean, it's still analog. It's so good.
A bit. I agree. Like a bit. Like not. I wouldn't have even probably.
Very little.
Very little.
Minuscule. Like yes, but it's noticeable.
A little stiff. That's all. Like I don't remember if it was specifically going up and down. If I trust you, you're probably right. It
just has a stiff neck. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, that's I mean, the controls are incredible, and they brought back some of the good stuff that they included in Metroid Prime Trilogy, which for me is like the spring ball. I love the spring ball. It is kind of awkward when you're, because I've been playing in handheld and like there's no button assigned to it, so you kind of gotta
there is.
Yeah, there is.
Is there a button assigned to it?
Button.
Yeah, it's Y.
What?
That's why.
Oh my god. Okay. Well then, completely never mind. I've been like tilting my Switch up.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it's a button press.
I've got like 3 of the energy tanks that you have to do like a couple of the bomb jumps for just by doing like this.
That always threw me off, because, or at least it's thrown me off in this game, because the jump for spring ball is different than your jump.
Yeah, well, that's
not
what
spring
I mean.
ball.
Yeah.
So like that was one thing I had to get used to, is that I would hit the wrong button at first.
Oh my god. This is unbelievable.
But that's interesting you bring that up, because I wanted to save that question for next time. But since you brought up the spring ball, the spring ball, from what I remember, was not in the original Metroid Prime. They added that for Trilogy and like the new play control, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you think the spring ball should have been kept in as is, or should it have been not in the game as it was in the original game?
No, I would have kept it. Yeah. for sure.
So I would have kept it. I will say there is one particular puzzle, and I think you know where I'm going to get to this. There's an energy tank in Magmore Caverns
Hmm.
that requires a lot of double jumping, and if you mess it up, you fall into the lava. With um, with the spring ball, it completely negates that entirely because
Yeah.
It's significantly easier.
because the
You
bombs
don't blow up the
destroy.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's the one exception where I think the spring ball kind of takes it out. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's an
Ah,
absolutely wonderful quality of life improvement.
yeah, I think it adds a lot. Personally, like, because I never, like I get what you're saying. It's like kind of an extra challenge, an extra element of danger, but like that's kind of and
It's
like,
one puzzle. It's
yeah,
a sacrifice.
and who
that I'm
wants to
willing
fall
make.
in lava? Let's be real here.
I think also that puzzle is one that I think a lot of people would just end up missing in
Exactly.
general because they
Yeah.
might not put it together that they need to bomb jump all the way up there.
Yeah.
So I think it would only really affect people who like are a little more dedicated players. That said, I wish
Or
there was a
even that
toggle.
that don't have the skill to pull it off, and eventually it's just like they're just like, forget this, it's not worth it.
Right. Yeah. I think there should be if there isn't one, maybe there is. I think there should be a toggle because if I were to play on like hard mode, I would be like, oh, I don't want the spring ball. I want to be able to only have to. I would have forced myself to only have to bomb
Yeah.
jump. I wish it were a toggle. I wish it wasn't the default because I agree it does like smooth like the difficulty scale there a little tiny bit in a portion of the game. That said, I do think it makes the game again a little more accessible to
Yeah.
people because bomb jump puzzles can kind of be a little technical. I think for someone who's never played a Metroid Prime game or an FPS before, or even, I mean, I guess not FPS, it's a morph ball puzzle, but like someone who's never played Metroid Prime before, may not be able to pull those off very easily. Like, why not give them the spring ball? I think because this is again going to be tons of people's like entry point into the Metroid Prime series. For people like us who've been playing for a while, a bomb puzzle's no big deal. For someone who's never played before, spring ball definitely helps. And you still have to get the rest of the way too, like,
Yeah.
and it also streamlines the game too because there's a bunch of excuse me, there's a bunch of areas in the game where you only need a single bomb to get into like a tunnel, by the way. And now it's like, oh, I could just spring jump into it. It just like streamlines the experience a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
that's why
Yeah.
I like it. It just makes that traversal so much faster and
Yeah.
smoother.
I can't believe there's an assigned button. You guys blew my mind.
I
I will
can't
say
believe
too,
you've been going like this the whole time to
dude,
jump. Are you kidding
legitimately,
me?
I've literally been like I'm surprised I haven't hit myself in the forehead with my Switch.
Oh, okay, so you've been playing handheld.
Yeah.
Doom, how have you been playing? What
I've been playing
controls
it
and what
docked.
setup? Dock
I've
with the
been
Pro
doing-
controller, dual
Yeah,
analog.
I've been doing dock dual analog. I have free aim turned on. I tried using gyro with the free aim specifically at first. I ended up taking that off. I
Right.
use the right stick now for the free aim, which I'm actually surprised because I actually like the gyro aiming in Splatoon, so
Mhm.
I figured that I'd like it here. But I think the thing in the thing in Prime, it shakes the camera too much and it just really disorients me. So I just much prefer using the analog stick for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because in Splatoon the camera's tied to your character, and like you can do
Mhm.
crazy stuff with your gun, but it's still focused on your character.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, it's tied to where your armor is. So, yeah, okay. So you played, and then Andy, you said you played handheld the entire time. You feel
Yeah,
like
the
that
entire
was
time.
felt good.
I mean, honestly, like it's the smoothest that I've ever played Metroid Prime. It's one of the smoothest Switch games. Very well could be the best looking Nintendo game of all time, and that's on handheld. There's been no hiccups, no nothing. All those accessibility features. I mean, what like the entire thing is just really like the complete package. And again, I want to harp back to my first L, but like this thing is like $40 for this
$40,
game,
man.
like unbelievable. I mean, it's more
like-
for me, but whatever.
I feel like we all took the L on that one because I certainly didn't expect this to be
No.
$40, especially when I saw how far they went with this. Because like I never imagined that they would remaster the game in this way. I thought like at most we would get like a Wind Waker HD style remaster where
Which
it still
I would have
looks
been
really
fine
good.
with. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Where it's like mostly lighting and texture changes, maybe some small quality of life improvements, but nothing beyond that. I didn't expect them to remodel nearly every polygonal asset in this game from the ground up. Like that just completely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, it's such a good looking game, man. It's like what I've
It's
wanted this game to
unbelievable.
look like for so long. I played handheld. So first I played handheld or portable mode the entire time. The first I played it handheld with the Joy-Cons in. I'm like laying in bed like this, like blah blah blah, like playing.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think after I got to the Space Jump boots in my first playthrough, I brought out the Pro Controller. I think it was mostly because I felt the Joy-Con right stick, and maybe it's just my personal Joy-Con, felt a little too loose for my aiming. I was like, I want a sweet spot, and I wanted a little less sensitive, so I changed my Pro Controller. Playing on the Pro Controller, man, perfect. First of all, I mean, the Switch Pro Controller is, I think, one of the best design controllers for like any console.
Agreed.
Playing this game on it, I mean, perfect, absolutely perfect. This is, I think, this with dual analog is like the best way to play the game officially in any circumstance for me. And I do like the gyro and stuff too, but I didn't want to have to do all that, so I played it that way for the rest of the time. But I played it like my Switch, like on my stomach or on my legs, or like right here on my desk, right in front of my face. I'm gonna play it docked eventually, but I played it both ways, and it felt incredible. It felt so natural. It felt exactly what this game needed, and that it looks so good without any drops or any like changes and noticeable changes, really any changes at all in detail and fidelity and resolution. Playing in handheld mode, I mean, props to the entire team to be able to pull that off. Not just the original team that created the game to have such a good foundation, but this new team of Retro and Iron Galaxy and all the other partnered studios they worked with to build on that and make it look phenomenal. So yeah, and it played so good. What more can you really say? It is. I think honestly, I think it's the best remaster I played for a game, like ever. I really
be
did.
up there. Yeah, and we kind of got into the menu in our Discord about like remaster versus like remake. I think like for me, this is clearly a remaster, and if we're going on that terms and we're taking out like, let's say like Resident Evil 2, stuff like that, I mean, I might agree. This is everything you want in a remaster. It looks awesome. It plays awesome. It has tons of extra options that it didn't have before. We haven't even actually talked about all the extras that it included from Metroid Prime Trilogy as well, which is like kind of cool stuff, because then you get like the original concept art. You could get like the remastered concept art. You can unlock the soundtrack, which is awesome. Like, and one thing actually that I want to shout out is that they don't have those hokey friend token gimmicks that they have in the
I like
the trilogy
token.
one. No, those are horrible.
Give me the option. I like the little tokens. And let me get my bobbleheads in my ship. Come on.
I'm just glad the friend tokens are out. Like,
I like the bobblehead, but like seeing the silly like green Metroid logo is just like, get that out of there.
I kind of like that, but
well, yeah, I mean, you could have. I mean, you can turn those off even in the original game. So I'm whatever on that. I'm just glad that you don't have to like exchange friend vouchers with people anymore. That was horrible. Annoying.
I had every reward except for those ones.
But no, you mentioned the music, and that's actually something I really want to break up, because as a music nerd, I was popping off about some recent information that came out. So big person in the Metroid community, a guy named Unknown, which if you don't know about them, they actually contributed one of the songs in the recent Harmony of a Hunter Returns album, the wrecked ship theme that appears on it, which is one of my personal favorites on the album. I really love what they did with that. But so the music ripping community has been trying really hard to get this music out, because it's a lot more difficult than regular games are, because of like the codecs involved in that stuff that's way beyond what I know. But they were able to extract the files to a certain degree, and they found out that these are actually remastered files sourced at 48 kilohertz a second. Everyone is like, okay, Doom, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Well, here's the thing: the GameCube and the Wii audio files are sourced at 3,200 kilohertz per second. Now, this is pretty standard for back in the day, because a GameCube disc is about, I think, 1.2 gigabytes total. So you have to like really reduce that file size on the music to be able to fit all of that content on a single disc. And so, but now with more modern games, with the file sizes getting bigger, you're starting to see more higher quality audio files being able to be implemented. Switch games are, of course, an exception, though, because even Switch games still have relatively low file sizes. I mean, the Prime Remaster is 7 gigs, whereas like a modern game is like, probably going to be between 40 and 150 gigabytes, give or take. Anyways, so the industry standard for like a compact CD is a 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz file. And the human ear can hear, I believe, on average, about 40,000 kilohertz max. The reason why that 44 is important, though, is because that additional headroom it plays with the phase changes and kind of the timbre of the sound when you start hearing sounds out of your range. You don't hear the actual notes itself, but they start to have an influence of the notes around you and create a very specific timbre element. And same thing with 48 kilohertz. And the new music in Metroid Prime is sourced at 48 kilohertz, which means that they didn't just rip the GameCube files and put them into the game. We are getting, for the first time, a high definition presentation of the Metroid Prime soundtrack. And I cannot wait for this thing to be ripped in full and hear out. Like, I am so happy that, we finally get to have this preserved in pristine glory like never before. So that's just a me thing. I'm super happy about it. And, again, shout outs to Unknown for the work that they've done on this. And, I can't wait to hear it in full.
So 2 things. 1, if you're happy, I'm happy. That rocks. And 2, if it's better, higher quality Metroid Prime music, I'm all about it. I've actually been playing. So usually when I play my games now, like I usually play them on the Switch, and usually we have like the radio playing for my dog or whatever. So like it's not exactly like I'm like super hyper focused on the music. I've been playing with like headphones in, just taking it all in. It sounds incredible. And maybe it's just because like I'm hyper focused on the music, but it really just does sound like breathtaking as the soundtrack always has. But it's hitting extra hard for the last couple nights, so maybe that could be why.
Yeah, I've been playing this with my surround sound headset, and
Yeah.
it's just been an absolutely immaculate experience.
I don't have much to add except it still sounds great. It sounds amazing. I don't know technically that it sounds better, but my brain knows that it sounds still really good. And I think that just goes back to like they didn't try to mess with the formula, right? They didn't try to like, oh, let's redo the tracks and let's add they didn't mess with what was already perfection. They just like, this is already really good. Let's just keep what is already really good, which doesn't need to be fixed, which isn't broken. Let's just run with it. And the music is, if anything, they enhanced it and made it even better. But they didn't be like, oh, let's move this around and try to redo this, and which is still why I think it's pretty much a remaster, and it is. But they didn't try to like tool around with the formula, which it didn't need. And
has anyone noticed any new sounds or anything like that? Not music necessarily, but like sound effects.
I have noticed a couple new sound effects. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's been some new Foley changes, which I've pretty much liked all the Foley change. There's when Samus first lands on the friggin' orphan after doing the front flip, the one in the original game, it sounds very light and doesn't really match the environment. This new one that they put is like a very heavy metallic thud. Like it sounds like a very heavy metal on metal contact.
Right.
I noticed the Parasite Queen when she's climbing down the reactor shaft. There's also it has a lot more lower frequencies in her claws, which I really liked. So yeah, they're very, very subtle Foley changes, but I think all of the ones that I have noticed have been for the better.
See, I actually know what that term means, so I know what dude was talking about the whole time.
Well, you're ahead of me, but I trust you.
Foley just means a sound effect. So like basically you record a sound effect in real life and you put it into a movie. So basically like maybe you're recording some cowboy boots, and so you take like
2 sticks of celery I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep, that's Foley.
Yeah, there's another really cool sound effect I think in the frigate. Like one of the first hallways you walk in, there's like some paneling on the side, and it sounds like just more robust and like I don't know. Can't describe it. The one thing I will say though, I don't know if this was in the original game, but the parasites on the frigate in the beginning of the game seemed a little louder. And maybe I was just misremembering it. Maybe they are as loud in the original. But this time I was playing, I was like, wow, they're really loud this time. There was one point I was walking through and like all I could hear were like the parasites. It's like I was playing that what's that game that came out recently where like it's about like the plague tale, and all you can hear is rats all the time.
Requiem, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't play that game because all you could hear is the sound of rats. I was like, absolutely not. And it was that loud to me. I was like, wow, maybe I'm just misremembering. I do not remember it being that loud. Otherwise, yeah, the sounds great. Some new sound effects or like different updated versions, also great.
I have 2 quick points. One of them is completely unrelated to anything we're talking about. One, I know we already talked about the visuals and we like, what more?
They're great, aren't they? Doesn't the game look so good?
Dude, Parasite Queen.
Yes.
Like
all the enemies and bosses.
It's night and day. Like I know, but like Parasite Queen in particular to me was just that it was the one. And I was just like, holy smokes!
You
like
can
this...
see like the scale and like the little like I don't know like like the
Awesome.
exoskeleton breaks. Like, oh, it's so
Oh.
good.
They even added battle damage to her, implying that like she got in a fight with like a ton of space, but like it's not just like a perfect model. There's like
Yeah,
It's
all
so
the
good.
enemies and bosses got like a revamp.
Yes.
Like everything looks so much clearer and like more pronounced
Thardis
and
yesterday, I was
detailed.
fighting him, and when he's rolling in his ball, oh man, it looked awesome. I can't wait to get
I
to
think
Metroid
the
Prime.
space pirates in general, I think, got such an upgrade because like the base space pirate model looks so good now.
Yeah.
They perfect like back in the day, they perfectly captured that like 80s alien look to them, and they have all these like wires hanging off them and like things strapped to their arms, and you can see it. It's like pronounced now. And then like the elite pirates, mega pirates. I mean, they have a whole new like face, and you can
I haven't
see
got to
like
them yet.
like the ligamature and like the ligaments in their body and like the sharpness of their claws. Like it looks so good. Yeah, the Magmors look awesome. Like when you first fight one of those in the caverns, look great. The She-Goths, the adult She-Goth looks incredible. Looks so good.
That was another standout for me in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridley. I mean, I know you guys haven't gotten that far.
Ridley looks
but, like,
awesome from the
I mean,
trailer.
we saw him in the frigate.
Although
You do see him in the frigate, yes.
he had kind of like a Proteus Ridley thing going on, I thought.
See, that's so apparently in the original game, that's how he always looked. Like he didn't have a fully metal head.
Oh, really?
Yes, if you look actually at the model, he actually does. His head is not entirely metal, which I thought was the case as well. That's apparently not the case. But this is how he was always supposed to look, I guess. So
I like the full metal, to be honest.
I agree, but now he looks so identical to his Ultimate design. It's like they took literally his design from Ultimate and just made it into what Ridley's size actually is supposed to be. I do agree. I liked my original perception of him being more metal, but he still looks so freaking good. I mean,
I also don't mind
Metroid
it
Prime.
Oh my
so
gosh,
good.
I cannot wait to see what the
Metroid
primes look
Prime
like.
looks so good, man.
Like,
And like the artifact temple. Like there's that shot when you go into the Phazon mines when you're going down that elevator and you can see up at the floating impact crater like base at the where the artifact temple is, and you see like the landscape in the back and the cloud. Like, oh my god, man! Like this looks so good.
In no world should this game look this good on the Nintendo Switch. Like, it's unbelievable.
You forget, like, you're literally, if I wasn't holding it, like, in a handheld or whatever, I was like, is this a Switch game? Like, really? The amount of times I caught myself just looking up and looking around at stuff, like, never before have I looked around that much, except maybe when I played it on PC for the first time. Like, this is the way to play it. It looks so good, and you can't, the enemies, like, the crystal lights and Phandrana Drifts, like, their eyes are so pronounced now, which is really cool.
That's another thing I really like with a lot of like these a lot of the creatures that kind of like skimmer and scurry. Like before, like they didn't the leg animations or I don't know what you would call probably leg animations, but like they weren't nearly as pronounced as they are now. You can like I especially noticed this with the zoomers and the gamers when you first notice them on Town Overworld, but like all the little individual movements are like so much more pronounced now when they go up the walls, and they like actually look more like arachnids now than they originally did, which I think is just super awesome.
Yeah, that's a great call out. Even when you get to the impact crater itself, and you remember the like geckos or whatever those things are, like that's transparent little lizards, and you can like now like they're just like so detailed. You can see their little legs moving, their heads bobbing back and forth, their like their tails wagging as they stream across. I just like I kindly step over them, like I'm not, no, we're not fighting. I'm not taking you on, little guys. Yeah, they did such a good job of like making the world, which already felt so alive, feel even that much more alive. And they didn't like reduce details. Like you still have like the generic fish that swim around, and they even those look better. Like the generic can't even scan them. Fish in the lakes look so good.
Yeah,
like every little detail wasn't missed.
Just like some of just the like the foliage looks awesome. Like especially like the bioluminescent one. I got to the I think it's called the Hunter Cave in Phandrana, like that kind of dark crystally cave. Like god damn, that looks awesome. Just the whole game looks awesome. We know that. I mean, this might be the best remaster like I've ever played. Like between the updated visuals, between the price point, between the accessibility options, the different controls. Like, man, oh man, oh man! I really, really, really hope that 2 and 3 are to follow. I hope that they are. I don't know if I'd say it's a guarantee, but I really hope that they are. It looks like this game is selling well off the bat, so I hope that encourages, I hope that encourages them to consider doing this for Prime 2 and 3. And we won't get into this today. We'll get into it on another episode, but maybe this means something for Metroid Prime 4 coming somewhat in the near future. So we'll see, I guess. So yeah. Oh, I wanted to bring up a second point. It's completely unrelated to everything, but you were just talking about A Plague's Tale. Have you guys been watching The Last of Us?
I have been watching The Last of Us, yes.
So my HBO expired. My school used to give me free HBO, but that contract expired, so I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, what school did you go to, man? I didn't get free HBO.
Yeah.
My
That's
school.
student debt.
Monterey Bay, baby.
What?
But no, I do have a free trial of HBO, so I'm waiting for the series to be fully available so that I can use that and then binge watch it. Because I've been hearing nothing but phenomenal things about the show.
Don't want to spoil it, but I did just watch episode, what was it, 4 or 5, whatever just came out on Friday.
4. Yeah. So you're on
whatever the most
5?
recent one is.
Right.
No, well, I mean, whatever the most recent episode is, I just watched it. I think that was episode.
Yeah, you're on
4.
episode 5, so I'm on episode 4.
Yep. Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, yes.
It's kind of cool. This was filmed in Calgary, so I can see my home in there. And like, if you live in like LA or Chicago, like or New York, you're used to seeing your home in movies or whatever in shows. But like, it's kind of cool. Like, I'm like, hey, that's like the Globe Theater downtown, and I can see it in The Last of Us.
I was watching this, and I think it's really fascinating how they're dealing with The Last of Us. No spoilers, but like the show has been like obviously follows Joel and Ellie, but also cuts to like other parts of the story that like influence the present and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been watching it. I was like, wow, like since I'm talking about Metroid Prime Remastered, if there was a Metroid Prime show, I think that would be the best way to depict the game. You cut between Samus adventuring on Talon 4 in the present, in the current time. And going
see
through
the
it
Chozo in the past, or like maybe some space
but then
pirates.
Cut back all the lore in the game. You could cut back to like the Chozo, dealing with the Leviathan showing up, the space pirates leaving Zebes and forming their base here, and then even cut to even closer where like the space pirates, because there's a lot of lore in the game where it's very recent. They're like, Samus is on the planet, kill her. Don't let her get to this thing. So it's like very recent lore, and obviously the space pirates are still on the planet, like operating. So you can even have these like parallel like storylines even kind of conversion to one another. But I was like, wow, like,
could you imagine like the cold open of them re-engineering Meta Ridley together? That would be money.
Yeah, like
that would be good.
So good. Like a little like
money right
a little limited series. If you did it in like the Last of Us style of like cutting back and forth, like with opening up on what the lore covers, and then using that to fill in the pieces in Samus's current present day adventure.
Yeah.
That'd be money, man. That'd be so good. So shouts to that show and shouts to this game.
It's been very good so far. And you know me, I'm kind of a cynic for those kind of shows, but I have to
I'm not a big zombie show guy, which is why.
Am I. Yeah.
To be fair, though, I've been watching clips from The Walking Dead. I was like, damn, I should have watched the show. The early seasons of Walking Dead seemed very good, and I should go and watch it. But I was never a big zombie person, and I like that the show is not about zombies. It's about the humans and their connections and their story, and the zombies are very much a backdrop to it. So,
sorry, I didn't mean to railroad us. It
no,
popped in my mind with the Plague Tale.
But I would love it if they did a show that way.
That would be so.
Are we gonna go into on this episode things that maybe we wish could be improved, or we want to save that for next week since you guys still haven't finished it?
Let's save that for next week. Yeah,
because I feel like we already got a pretty meaty episode on our hands right now.
And we're not done. We're gonna talk about a lot of other stuff for next week. So like Doom and I said, we're gonna finish our playthrough this week. Maybe I'll try and speed it up a little bit. I've just been wandering and trying to take it in.
You guys are gonna finish yours. I'm gonna finish my second playthrough on going for 100%, and then I'm gonna go for hard mode. Hard mode, I'm very much looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the challenge of hard mode. So trying to GM some Metroid.
Okay, well, I mean, what a great week for Metroid. Metroid 2. On the Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy emulator. Metroid Fusion is on the way. Metroid Prime Remastered. So you can now play Metroids 1, 2, 3, soon to be 4, and 5, plus Metroid Prime. So this is quickly becoming the console to play all your Metroid games on. So you love to see it. Absolutely amazing. I thought it was a great direct. What a great week. It's been an awesome week for Metroid
Dude,
fans.
I have felt my love for Metroid, come the fire in me, man. Like,
Yeah.
this is straight up like, I mean, I think right now Metroid Prime Remaster is the best Metroid game, period. I think it is the best. I think it's the best Metroid game. Metroid Prime Remaster is the best Metroid game available right now. It is. There's a reason why I love Metroid Prime. It's my second favorite game of all time, and my favorite Nintendo game of all time, my favorite Metroid game of all time. And for it to now come back like this and to be able to play on the Switch, looks amazing, plays amazing. It's everything I could ask for, and more. Really, it was something that I'm like, okay, like I played Metroid Prime a ton. I can play it on my GameCube. I played it on my Wii. I can play it on my PC now.
Mm-hmm.
Do I really need it to come out on Switch? But then after playing this, yes, absolutely, undoubtedly, yes. And I'm so excited for people who have never played the game before, or maybe haven't played it since they were a kid, to play it for the first time.
I have seen some live streams of people that are blind playing this for the first time, and it's been every single one of them has been blown away. Like,
I'm
wow.
envious. I'm envious, man. Like, to play this for the first time like this, like blown. But I'm glad I got to play it back then, so I feel like we get to appreciate it more.
I almost feel it's like the best of both worlds. I mean, like as I was saying, like this feels as close to a first playthrough for me as you could probably get. Like again, even though I don't even know how many.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah. It is good.
It's literally right under my first playthrough as a kid. Yeah. Like that's how good that playing it again now was.
Yeah. Okay.
Unquestionable.
Well, there it is.
I mean, what can I say? Like, my favorite game of all time got the glow up of a century beyond my wildest dreams. Best Valentine's Day ever.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. All right. Well, there it is. We're not done talking about Metroid Prime Remastered. We're going to be back next week and the weekend. We're going to be talking about this for a long time. There's a lot of meat on this bone. We'll dive right into the nitty gritty of this game next week. But man, Metroid fans, basket it, lap it up, enjoy it. What a week! What a just series of events. I never saw this coming. Didn't think it was going to happen like this. So it's a W for Metroid fans everywhere. Metroid is trending around the world.
Trending.
So man, just. Oh, what a feeling!
They do
be
printing those copies. That is true.
Yeah. Those are coming out. What, 22nd? Are we all suckers, by the way? Are we all like getting the digital and then the physical?
Well, you know me. I always buy both digital and physical for Metroid, regardless. I mean, I bought like 8 copies of Metroid Dread to get my hands on all the overseas pre-order bonuses. So 2 copies of Metroid Prime Remastered is baby mode.
Well, I was thinking, because I bought how many copies of Dread, but I'm like, I have to buy more Metroid Prime copies now.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to. I can't have Dread be my most bought game. It has to be Metroid Prime. So.
I think I bought 4 copies of Dread, and I could see. You know what? This game's cheaper.
That's the thing, it's cheaper.
4 Dreads equals like 6 Primes, so I mean...
I want to say I bought like, 3 special editions of Dread, 1 or 2 regular copies, and then a digital copy, I think. So like, I gotta buy like 8 copies of Metroid Prime Remastered, I think.
I do wish that there was like an amiibo released. I do it, because that would have been awesome. Have like a Meta Ridley. Oh, that would have been awesome. Anyways,
new Meta Ridley would be sick. Yes,
we'll get into that.
You know what? That's another L I'll take, because I thought for sure we'd get an amiibo release, and that clearly didn't happen.
I'll take that L as
it
well.
It can happen.
Yeah.
There's still time. There's still time, guys. There's still time. Let's pump the brakes.
Maybe they're saving it for when 2 and 3 come out, and there's like light suit amiibo. That would be sick.
Oh, light and dark suit amiibo. Oh, PED suit amiibo.
Yeah, PED.
Rundus amiibo.
Hazard shields.
Hazard shield amiibo. Come on, I want that.
Now we're cooking. All right. Let's get on out of here, fellas, and get back to our Metroid Prime Remastered.
I want to play. I want to get back to it.
All right, well, let's do it. Okay, so everyone, thanks for tuning in. Obviously, we're so excited. We hope that you guys are excited as well. Take it all in. This doesn't happen very often in the Metroid series, so you gotta love it when it happens. We are going to get out of here. Friendly reminder to check us out over on Twitter at Omega Metroid Pod. You can check me out at Spateri316. Dak is at DakCity_, and Doom is at DoomIt'llCross. OmegaMetroid.com has all your Metroid Prime maps. You ever get lost? That's where you need to go. Check it out. And you can check out guides, walkthroughs, news. Man, what a great job the team did, by the way, covering the news on OmegaMetroid.com. So shout out to everyone that did that.
Yeah.
Just an amazing day. We're on Patreon if you want to check us out as well. We got a lot of bonus shows coming up, as well as I'm going to talk about this next week, but we're launching a new show next month, so I'm very excited about that. So check us out there, and I think that's it. Let's all get out of here, gents, and get back to Metroid Prime Remastered. All right. Peace out. next week. Take care.
Next week. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right.